Hi, we're the Hale family. We wanted to share some of our experiences in our recent trip to San Diego. We went with our 1.5-year-old, which was an absolute blast. Had some great experiences and some things we wouldn't necessarily recommend, and we're going to talk about that today. Firstly, I just wanted to say we had gotten some great timing. We went right after the first floodings happened, and left right before they started up again. Our hearts and prayers go out to those that are dealing with that. One of our favorite things was meeting some of the amazing people that live down there and hearing some of their stories about dealing with those floodings. So we're going to keep them in our prayers. I'm going to start by talking about some of our favorite experiences. Number one was legacy whale watching. We actually happened upon this just because we got a good price on the trip. It was $28 per person, and probably the best thing we did while we were there. It was a 3-hour tour. Our 1.5-year-old absolutely loved it. She was on the railing, pointing at everything with the biggest smile on her face, refused to take a nap, which she absolutely needed, but we got...
She definitely did.
Yeah. But we got to see a pod of dolphins. There was around 200 or 300 dolphins, and they were actually had their babies there. There was a lot of baby dolphins, and we learned that they actually travel in schools with all like the mothers in one area, and so you'd see these mother dolphins flying up with these little football-sized baby dolphins right next to them. That was something I've never seen in my life, and will always remember. They don't guarantee that you're going to see anything, but we were lucky enough to be able to see those dolphins, and we ended up seeing about 10 gray whales during their migration. It was a really good time to go see it.
Yeah. We also saw some sea lions and pelicans and other things that we wouldn't necessarily see on the mainland, or more inland, I should say.
Yeah, and during the 3-hour tour, we got to meet a lot of local people, got some great tips on where to go to. It was just a great experience overall, especially for just $28. We also went to this area called Old Town. We ended up happening upon this because we were looking for coffee, and we ended up spending 3 hours there the first day and ended up going back there a couple more times during our trip. It's based on what the town looked like when it was first settled, and old Spanish origins. There's old blacksmith shops. It's very like Western Spanish type town. Great cultural experience for children. Our daughter really loved it. She loved the music. She loved the people and all the shops on the street. She got to point to a whole bunch of stuff. We ended up buying her a handmade dress, and everything was really reasonable. The handmade dress we got from a street vendor for $20. It was absolutely incredible. They were great people to meet. We loved hearing that their life experience and how they ended up doing that. There were some amazing restaurants. It was just one of our favorite places to go, and free parking.
Yeah. We had the best hot chocolate horchata there and some truffles. And yeah, like my husband was saying, downtown, or well, in the center of Old Town, had these cobblestone area with these beautiful gardens and the Spanish music playing with the banners, and just absolutely gorgeous.
There was also a stage there. We didn't get to see anything while we were there, so I don't know how often they used it, but I think that would be something pretty cool to try, is if they have shows going on, to go experience some of that.
Definitely. We also really enjoyed going to Torrey Pines. So I know they're mostly known for golfing, but they have this beautiful hiking areas, and so we actually went there to hike. We ended up wanting to hike along the coastline, but there's other areas you can go to, and it was just gorgeous.
Yeah, there's free parking outside of it. We ended up parking in the paid parking section, which was it was completely clear. There was very few people there. So much parking available. It was only $15, and that goes to the park to help maintain it. And we have no problem paying that $15, even though we could have parked on that street and not paid anything. But there's all kinds of different trails you can try. There's easy, moderate, difficult trails. We always use the All Trails app to find our way, and it's been very helpful for us. It's a easy hike, just right on alongside the ocean, which is the one we did. We ended up doing about 3 miles just straight on the ocean. There's different beaches you can go to. You can also go the other direction that we did and go straight up to the Nature Center and Museum, which is also really cool. We ended up just driving up there, but that's one of the trails that you can take as well.
Yeah, the only thing when we visited Torrey Pines, the tide was very high. So if you do walk along that coastline, getting back to the car, uh, it was so high that we would have been knee deep in the water. So we ended up having to go climb rocks and go over the rail with her daughter.
Yeah, she was strapped to my chest, or strapped to her chest at the time, actually, and completely asleep. She was completely asleep. So that was a challenge that we didn't expect, but we got through. But yeah, we ended up having to climb with a sleeping baby on her chest. So that was fun. So let's take it in the opposite direction and go to some things that we don't necessarily recommend. So one of the beaches that we went to is called Black Beach. It was absolutely gorgeous. Had 4.7 stars ratings on Google, and we should have read some of them. It was Christy's so excited to go there. I'm not the biggest beach person in the world. I don't really love swimming, but I like hanging out with my daughter and playing in the sand. So I was excited for that.
A caveat though, I did not read the Google reviews. I just saw the pictures.
Yeah. So what we didn't, the first thing we did not realize is that it was about 500 steps straight down. Definitely haven't been maintained in a long time. They're falling apart. That was a little sketchy, and I had the baby on me at the time, taking her up, and it was even worse going down, and it was even worse going up. But when we get down to the beach, what we immediately noticed was that there was a lot of naked people, mostly old men that we did not expect to be naked. And luckily there was a fairly clear part of the beach. We got to go hang out for a little bit, but we didn't stay very long. And that was slightly frustrating because it was a lot of energy going down and back up. But yeah, that turns out, after I had read some of the reviews and the Wikipedia entry, is that that's one of the largest nude beaches in the United States. So if you're going to a beach in San Diego or Oceanside or wherever you're going down there, just make sure that it's not clothing optional. One of the beaches we do recommend going to is Oceanside Harbor and Pier. There's a long, beautiful pier with some restaurants at the end of it. Along the way, there's a couple shops selling fishing line and fishing poles that you can rent. But that was a beautiful place to watch the sunset.
Yeah, that was actually the first time we had seen the sunset over the Pacific Ocean, and that night was just perfect. There was barely any clouds, and it just absolutely beautiful. We also went to see the sunset at Sunset Cliffs. Now, that was also beautiful. However, we didn't realize that it was very difficult to get to the beach, so we ended up seeing the sunset on the actual cliff,
which was really nice as well. It's a great place to go if you don't have kids. So there's a couple ways you can get down there. One I didn't see, there's apparently a rope line that you can actually climb down, which sounds very sketchy to me. There's also at the other end a staircase, which does go down, and we were able to go down that with the baby. However, to get to the beach, there's a lot of rocks that you have to climb over, but that's just generally where the surfers go down to get into the water. But that is another way you can get down to the beach, and that sounds a little safer to me as well. But it's a great place to go if you do want to go to the beach and if you're a little bit more adventurous. Irregardless, it was absolutely a beautiful view from the cliffside.
Also at Sunset Cliffs, if you are able to get towards the beach, there is apparently this very beautiful cave. And if you go down the staircase, you can sort of see part of where a cave is. It's definitely well worth seeing.
One of the more family-friendly beaches that we went to is called Moonlight Beach. And the best thing about that beach is that there are no naked people there. It is very family-friendly. It has jungle gyms, slides, it has swings, a lot of things that the kids can do there. There's showers and bathrooms and a concession stand, and it's also apparently a great place to watch the sunset. We just didn't catch the sunset at that beach, but it was very fun to go there and play in the sand with Lizzy.
So because the water was so high, we couldn't play right at the ocean. So there's the sandy area, then some rocks that go down. It's not that steep. and then the water was right there because the tide was really high. But it is a very beautiful beach as well.
So we ended up staying in Oceanside, and that was, I think, a good decision for us. We're not huge on crowds or traffic, and that was, it was a nicer place to drive, nicer place to hang out. The hotel we stayed at, it was the Best Western and had one of the best complimentary breakfasts that we've ever had. It changes day by day, but they always consistently have waffles and muffins and stuff, and it was all very fresh and very good. Family-friendly place. Had a pool and a hot tub, which we didn't end up using.
Another area to avoid or just be leery when you go down to San Diego is downtown San Diego or towards Little Italy. So we ended up not getting out of our car with our little one just because we saw a fair amount of homeless people, and it's just a really sad situation down there right now. But we just did not feel safe or comfortable with our child in downtown.
So that's one thing I would avoid is just Little Italy itself is great. It's just we couldn't find parking in an area that we did feel safe in. Everybody that we met there was nice, and I don't think anything bad would have happened. It's just something that we just didn't want to expose Lizzy to at the time. Another thing that we did that didn't really live up to our expectations was the San Diego Zoo. For the amount of money that we paid and all the hype that was around the zoo, it really didn't live up to my expectations. There was, for the price, for half the price, we got to do the legacy whale watching, which was 10 times better. The San Diego Zoo, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely gorgeous. So much foliage around. We just didn't get to see as much as we'd like to. The foliage covered a lot of the animals that we would have liked to see. A lot of the animals are kind of hidden away, and the map does not do a great job of guiding you where to go, and nor do the displays of the animals themselves kind of show you where to go. It might have just been because it was the off season and a lot of the displays were currently under maintenance. It just was not what I was anticipating for the $70 per person that we spent.
The helpers were very nice, though. It's just we got lost several times.
Yeah. And we're from Colorado, and Colorado Springs Zoo is absolutely amazing, and so I kind of compare everything to that, and it was I would just prefer to be there 10 times over to the San Diego Zoo. A lot of good food. It was just expensive, and I just didn't think it was worth the money. And Lizzy loves zoos, but she towards the end was completely done. So.
While we were in San Diego, we had some amazing food. We had seafood every day, pretty much for all lunch and dinners.
We did make the mistake once of getting pizza. Don't do that. I mean, you can get pizza anywhere. It was nothing special. But some of our favorite restaurants, I will say our favorite restaurant down there was called Bay Park Fish Company. It was actually one that we ended up having twice. We went there, got seafood pasta, got a lobster roll, best lobster roll I've ever had in my life, and the seafood pasta was just so amazing.
Yeah, our 1-year-old loved the seafood pasta. It has this creamy Alfredo-y sauce, but has sriracha in it, so it gave it a little bit of kick with mahi-mahi, which Lizzy loved, and we also had clams, mussels, and shrimp.
Yeah, it was incredible. And so I'm not the biggest seafood person, but I would eat there every day if I lived right next to it. It's actually it's not very busy either. Some of the other places we went to were packed, but this is one that I had gotten told by a family member to go to, and that is a local place, and that is kind of a hole in the wall and not really known. And that proved true both times we went. It was barely full, but each time it was so amazing. So I definitely recommend going there. One that I wouldn't recommend going to on the same token is Blue Water. Blue Water was one that was recommended to us by everybody that we told we were going to San Diego, and we were recommended by the people at the car rental place and the at the airport, and And I'm sure the food is great, but when we got there, the line was out the door and around the corner, and that was just to talk to the hostess, not necessarily just to get seated. I mean, we could not even figure out where we could stand to go eat there, and so I'm sure the food is great. But we have a 1.5-year-old, and it was 7 o'clock at night, and she had just gotten off a flight at the time for 2 hours. So it just wouldn't work for us personally to just stand in line for that food, as amazing as I'm sure it is. But it was kind of a blessing in disguise because we couldn't eat there. We walked down the street and got to try Shakespeare's British Pub.
Yeah, their food was delicious, but what you must try if you go there is their sticky toffee pudding. It's so good, and get it with the custard. I can't believe they don't make that more in American restaurants.
It was an absolutely amazing experience. The food was great. I had the fish and chips, and the fried fish was about that long and just sweet and crispy, and it was amazing.
If you want authentic Mexican food, definitely head down to Old Town and go to Barra. Their food was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, the restaurant itself is gorgeous. The prices aren't bad, but the foliage around it is amazing. Like, you're surrounded by beautiful plants and really great decorations. I had Barra, the burrito, and that it was steak and shrimp inside of it, and that's not something that we really have out here, and it's something that I wish I could get as much as I want. It was great. Definitely some of the best Mexican food I've ever had.
Yeah, their tamales were to die for as well. Very authentic and high quality.
And surprisingly, we had the mac and cheese, and the mac and cheese was amazing. Like, we got it from our daughter, but we ended up eating most of it because it was so good.
It was delicious.
Another place to get really good seafood is Mitch's Seafood. We recommend the seafood platter. You can try a whole bunch of different items on there, including you get one of the best crab cakes you'll ever have in your life. It's so thick and sweet, and it has an amazing crab flavor to it. It just tastes different than any crab cake I've ever had in my life. And then their fried fish is amazing as well.
Yeah, we happened upon that restaurant because we were heading to the beach, and it is right on the ocean. It's kind of like a little pier thing, and you can either sit inside, which we did with our daughter, or you could sit at this bar-like thing on the harbor itself and just watch the ocean.
Although when you do that, you do have to fight off seagulls. So I saw multiple times where the seagulls were like flying right next to the customers, like trying to grab some food, and so that was an interesting aspect of it as well.
Definitely. But overall, we loved our experience in San Diego. The people were so friendly there. The weather is gorgeous. We highly recommend going.
Absolutely, and it was a really great deal. We didn't spend all that much money, and I would definitely go back again. And again, our prayers go out to the people who are going through the floods out there at the moment.
Thank you.